Hello everyone. I'm late because I didn't know it was Saturday today. And why can I not? There we go. Couldn't put my car in reverse for whatever reason. Not easily anyway. So, oh my goodness, why are you sticking? What is going on? And my emergency brake is not on. Anyway. This video is going to be about an Instagram video that I saw yesterday. And it's a conversation that I've seen many times before, and I don't think it's ill-intended, especially for parents. I think parents are told to have these conversations with their sons, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't be a discussion or you shouldn't talk about it with your sons, but it's, 3 things to tell your son, or 4 things. And it's about consent and no meaning no and all of these things. And wanting their son not to just follow the crowd or take up for their friend just because they're a fellow boy. That's the gist of it. And my conversation, and being a witness, make sure if something's going down that you're a witness or something, because you could stop it, what have you. This is just my perspective as someone who is, I guess, a modern day philosopher and I educate myself on topics, especially when it comes to crime, especially surrounding stalking. And I do believe that murder, rape, and stalking are connected. So, if we start out with stalking, I don't believe there is any parent that tells their son, even though women and men stalk at the same level. And for the people who want to come in my comment section and argue that, well, that's not what this says. A lot of these studies are skewed. A lot of these studies, you can pay. It's like that. I think it's the 4% or 3.4% of all women lie about rape. So they will say, well, a lot of the women who lie, there's not a huge percent of them, so we don't need to worry about it. It's not really studied. As a woman who's been stalked by another woman multiple times, there is no information that we are given. There is no studies that are done. If you are stalked by a woman, regardless of your gender, there is no help there's no information, there's nothing. Because the only information that's popular to talk about is male stalkers. Because that's the only people that have been studied, right? It's like ADHD or autism. If you don't study women with autism, or say women don't get autism solely based on the fact that only men or boys have been the only, people studied, then you're going to say, well, women don't have autism, women don't have ADHD, that's just for boys. So that doesn't make that true any more than women don't stalk, or if they do, it's not that serious, or women can't do X, Y, and Z. Women do rape. There are women in prison who have been raped by women. So, and have come forth and told their stories. There are women who are now women who have been molested by women. And yet that is, well, there's not that many of them, or it doesn't really matter, or it's not really a serious issue, which none of those other things are even scientific. Science doesn't care if you think something matters or not, or whatever. It's there to study the what, where, and how often, and the why, if you can even get an honest answer out of people, right? So, what demographic, all of that type of thing when it's comes to crime. So, with stalking, if you're dealing with a sociopathic person, there's nothing you could have done. There's nothing that you did. In the sense that you did not provoke this person, there's nothing you could have done to not have this happen. This is just a mentally sick person who picked you either because they're envious of you, because that is a lot of cases where women have stalked other women. That was the reason. Even if that it was a young girl, there are cases where older girls or teens have stalked young girls. I remember one case, it was in Australia, where literally this older teen who had borderline personality disorder, and that's a telltale sign. But usually people with the personality disorders that are like narcissism or borderline personality, they were in some type of relationship with you. They didn't just pick you at random. Sociopaths will pick you at random, and that is becoming more and more prevalent. That because of the internet, because of things of that nature, they're picking at random. The sociopath variety is becoming more and more prevalent than the relationship stalker, or, that's still a thing. It's very much still a thing. Interpersonal violence is still a thing. But, because that's usually where it starts, is there is a toxic relationship, somebody tries to leave or is leaving or has left, and that person, the person who's the sick person says, well, you don't get to themselves, you don't get to leave, you don't get to decide with this ends, how dare you abandon me, how dare you, all the things, right? So they just go stalking, and they become very vengeful. They see it as you damaging their reputation or you're damaging their image, and then you see these cases where the ex comes through with the chrome and metal, and either ends everybody's life in the house, or ends everybody's life, or ends that person's life, because stalkers will destroy another person to get to you, as it does happen in interpersonal violence. That person, the abuser, won't hesitate to kill anybody to get to you. The dog, the cat, anybody, right? So, that being said, rape, murder, and stalking are connected. Murder is the tree trunk, stalking and rape are the branches. Because stalking most times ends up in murder, regardless of the gender who's doing the stalking. So, moving on to rape. Let me just phrase it this way. Evil people do not want information, they want confirmation. Meaning, we have put all the information out in the world, we have had court case after court case, there are statutes on the books. If some person does not understand, we're talking about men right now, does not understand what consent is, does not understand that if someone does not want to be touched, does not even want a relationship with you, and tells you, no, I'm not going on a date, no, I'm not going to have sex with you, no, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z, stop touching me, don't do this, don't do that, then that person simply doesn't want to. Just as you can find stalkers, literally in forums about, and Reddits about stalking, who do not they literally cannot comprehend the idea that a person does not owe you a relationship. A person doesn't owe you a conversation. A person does not owe you any connection to them. They literally, and they will argue you down. That is a person who, that's not about parents. And do we honestly believe, because I don't, that parents have told their sons, because we're talking about males right now, that if a girl says no, just keep going. That some parent, maybe some parent has, but in every situation where rape has occurred, that parent specifically has said that if a girl doesn't want to be bothered, never mind the men who rape other men, but if a woman doesn't want to be bothered, just keep at her, just wear her down, just keep going, just keep doing it. If she says, no, I'm not letting you into show up at her house unannounced, and then barge your way into her apartment or house, and then drag her into the bedroom. And if she says no, tear off all her clothes and throw her down. Do you really think some parent, or parents, I should say, that is the instructions they have given their son? If they have, that just answers why they're as sick as they are. So, in most cases where I have seen rapist or pedophilic behaviors, at the very least, it was a coddling mother, where it was not just in the topic of sex or sexuality. It was everything. If he should always get his way, no matter what it is. If people, she can't understand why anybody would say no to her son for any reason. She probably harasses the school teachers, and that's certainly not about rape or him raping somebody else. He should always get what he wants. He's the best looking boy that there's ever been and ever will be. And that just really goes to the heart of the parent. That the boy should have no criticism of anything that he does or ever will do, even if he is a bum, even if he amounts to nothing, even if he's a layabout scofflaw. Well, he's still perfect. And anybody who says anything is simply envious of him, and they want to be him, all of these things, they got no discipline, and if they did, it was only when that child's behavior bothered the parent or was so annoying to the parent, not for what they were doing to other people. So I really do, that when I see that, they learn that I can do whatever I want to other people. And that's why you will see these mothers, that's always the mothers, it's never fathers. It's the mothers who will say, well, my son would never do that, because he would never do things that are bad to the mother. Because it's okay if it's only okay if he does bad things to other people. That she will excuse. But if he goes a bridge too far with her, then he gets, whatever consequence that there is. But he gets no consequence for what he does to other people. Everybody, we see the parents that everybody's lying on their children. There is no merit to anything negative or any negative feedback they receive about their children. Even in the face of viable proof or the lack of proof of what their child is reporting. Like if their child lies, right? They lie a lot. They just pathological liars, which is usually a sign of sociopathy. then